Good evening, all you wiener schnitzels. All right then. So the purpose of this video tonight is to, one, entertain all of you. Number two is to, I want to talk a little bit about a guy over in New Zealand, Jacob Dorn, who is making some really special effects pedals for guitar. And so Jacob doesn't make a lot of these, and I believe he hand builds every one of them. So what I'm playing through, we'll talk a little bit about the rig. Epiphone Les Paul, got a set of my Stankface pickups in it. These are basically like a PAF kind of pickup, double creams. They look really sweet in this guitar, I think. Really make the bling pop. Then let's talk about the amplifier. Next is it's a hand-wired kit of a 1957 low-powered Tweed twin. So in 1957, Leo Fender came out with this design, and it's got two 5U4 rectifier tubes. I think it used a couple of 5881 output tubes, kind of a lower wattage 6L6, typical 12AX7 preamp stages, through two 12-inch Jensen speakers, and so that's the amp. The amp has no reverb, no vibrato, no effects at all. It's just a straight up amplifier. But what I'm using here on my board is I've got two different pedals made by JD Analog. That's the name of the company, JD Analog. So JD, the first pedal I ever got from him was called the Tone of the Gods. And that pedal's got 4 different switches on it, all right? It's a really great sounding pedal. And so we're hearing some of that effect. So it has a preamp in it that is similar to a Schaefer Tower preamp. Anybody that knows what a Schaefer Tower is, it's what Angus Young used early on, that it was a wireless unit, basically. It allowed him to run around stage without a plug plugged in. It had a really special preamp to it that really did something to his guitar sound. It just, an SG through a Marshall was a great sound, but man, when he plugged into that Schaefer Tower, it really added like a layer of something just fantastic. So JD, he studied that circuit and he implemented a part of that into this Tone of the Gods pedal. And man, I'm gonna tell you what. So, but the other pedal is called a Superlead, and this is a new release of his. This is a serial number 1. I got the very first one. And this thing, talk about amp-like distortion. This pedal was designed to give you that 1959 Superlead circuit tone. And it's got You know, it's got a couple of knobs on it that you can tweak. It just really loosens up the bottom end and kind of gives you that sag, which I love. And so I'm using that with the Tone of the Gods preamp. So I've got the Superlead going into the preamp, and I'm going to turn the preamp off. I'm going to turn the Tone of the Gods pedal off. We're just going to hit just a chord. Let's turn on the Tone of the Gods. Really cool. So I'm going to do something different here. Also, I have a couple of other really sweet drive pedals on this board. If I could have it my way, my pedal board would be like 12 feet long and it would have like every killer drive that was ever built. So I've actually had to pull some drives off the board. That I have some really fantastic drive pedals, just too many to put on the board, so I'm kind of playing around with these. So I actually recently heard an OCD for the first time in person. I've got one on the board here. It's the version 1.4, I think. The thing I noticed about the OCD is it's a full tone pedal, by the way. Great pedals. It's a little more bottom end heavy. It doesn't seem to have kind of the highs that maybe I like as much. And I guess it would really depend on the amp you're playing through. If you're playing through like a Vox AC30 that's got a lot of highs to it, that pedal might be perfect for that amp. For this amp, for some reason, well, I'll let you hear it. Let's turn that on. And I've got this dialed in to get the sweetest tone out of it that I could get. So now we're going to play through my Missing Link Audio Peacock pedal. This is a germanium overdrive pedal, and it's got its own unique tone. But that's the bass line tone right there. Oops. Pickup selector moved to the middle. Back to the OCD again. Make sure I had that in the right spot. Now let's go to the Peacock. Peacock seems to have more highs to it. Let's see here. Although I can back that off and get it warmer. I'm going to keep the Peacock on, and we're going to run that into Tone of the Gods. Oh no, this is getting ridiculous. Yeah, sounds okay. Do the OCD and Tone of the Gods. Let's turn that off. Let's go back to the Superlead. I don't know, I'm tending to favor the Superlead pedal. It's a little more controllable. There's actually a total of 8 controls on it. There's a drive, there's a output, there is treble, middle, bass. There is, let's see what else we got here. I don't know, there's 3 other controls on it. One of them is like a negative feedback presence control. One of them is like tight or loose. I've got it all the way to the loose setting because I like the bottom end to kind of get spongy. And man, that through that Tone of the Gods preamp, that is just the cat's meow in my opinion. Trying to get it to feedback. It's not cooperating. So yeah, that's a really great Marshall kind of sound through a Fender amp. And a little bit about the old Tweed Fenders though is, you know, if you want a Fender amp that can get Marshally, you want to get a Tweed or like an early 60s Brown. Those amps were actually like the 1959 Bassman was the circuit that Jim Marshall basically copied almost to a T when he came out with his first Marshall design. So yeah, if you're playing an old Tweed amp and you crank it, you can get that cranked up Marshall tone. And I'm going to tell you that Superlead pedal through that amp, especially when you crank this amp to oblivion, oh my gosh, it's just so good sounding. So anyway, shout out to JD Analog over in New Zealand. He has another pedal that I'm dying to get. It's called 1968 Vibe of the Gods. And it goes from Jimi Hendrix to Robin Trower, and it sounds ridiculously good. And that one's going to be the next one to go on the board here. Well, I may have to get another board to put it on because I'm running out of real estate down here. So anyway, tell me what you think about the Superlead pedal, the Tone of the Gods, kind of the combination of the two. You know, Jacob actually recommended to me when I was buying the Superlead to make sure that I play that into the Tone of the Gods with that preamp turned on, and man, is he not kidding. That thing is just really, really killer sounding, you know, for a good rock and roll tone. So anyway, leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. All right, appreciate y'all stopping by.